So, I mean, if how can guys be like accountable for anyone actions besides their own? So, if my actions are not eliciting like a response, then like I've done what I'm doing. It's like the ball's in that person's court, and if they're not gonna like do it, then if they're not gonna say or guide it, then like how can it go any other way besides like where it's going naturally without like that verbalization?
Do you feel though that that's gonna like set up some sort of like expectation, and then that whoever you're with is gonna feel like they're expected to do whatever it's naturally leading, and so they're not really consenting, but they're kind of just like riding this wave.
I mean, I don't like the expectation. I think is like set forth by what happens. I think if like you start bringing the questions and stuff into it, that's gonna that's as leading. That gives as much of an idea. You bring up sex explicitly, like then that is putting that idea in their head instead of just like being in that moment and like that's gonna that's the expectation. Like that's what's happening. So like that's more of like an organic like way of deciding it.
But isn't it better though if like I would like bring up like something that I think it's naturally progressing to, so that like we're both on the same page, so that it's like clear, because like maybe it could even be the other side, and like she wants to have sex with me, and like I wasn't thinking about that, and like then there's like some sort of conversation about like where she thinks, and maybe she's like actually more ahead in like the relationship than I am.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine because there is confusion at times.
Yeah, and what if it's not clear until that moment? What if you really don't know what you want until it leads to that point, and there doesn't necessarily have to be anything spoken. If you just sometimes you just sense things. I think it's happening.
Yeah, well, is it like possible for me to like, it's like I understand like if it's like in the moment, and I'm trying to think like, oh, but I can be like, is this what's next, and if it was like more of like a constant check-in, because I think that if it was like a constant check-in, then it would not make the check-in weird, and it would like not do the weird move thing. Because like if everyone was like constantly doing that, then it would like be the norm.
And I think that kind of like ruins the moment itself. I know I've had conversations with girls who guys who've had the constant check-in. They just say just get on. I mean, clearly we're here. This is what's happening. Why you asking me this? What are you afraid of?
See, I wonder, I feel like maybe there's another way to think about it too, right? Like, I think the constant check-in, I totally get how that could like annoy someone. But another way to do it is I think that the not talking about it because it ruins the moment is actually like, I don't want to say fear, but a discomfort with the intimacy that comes with actually being able to talk about things from moment to moment. And that's a real intimacy, which not everybody has when they choose to hook up or have sex. I get that. So I just wonder if there isn't some kind of middle ground where like you say to somebody you're with, like, some stuff's happening here. I don't want to bother you by asking you a lot of questions, but maybe some stuff will happen for a while. Like you smile and say it all sexy. Maybe some stuff's going to happen for a while. Any point that you feel like I'm going too far or something, just say something. And maybe in a little while, I'll ask you again. But I'm not going to ask you for every little thing, because that's going to like bug the heck out of you.
And I totally understand that. What I'm wondering now is if we're talking about expectations and norms, and is there a difference in those expectations and norms when it is no longer a man and a woman? Is it harder for gay men or gay women to go along with this okaying every step of the way for fear of appearing less desirable to the other because you're both trying to play a very similar role?
I don't know if I hear you. I mean, I wonder if that's that different, because I think both in heterosexual women are also trying to play a desirable role.
Right.
Right? I mean,
Right.
I'm certain that there are differences in the dynamics because of all the ways gender are constructed and what we bring to that. But at the same time, if in my experience, if I'm a man with a woman, that thing that you just named, that fear, I have that fear too.
Right. Yes, and I think there's also I think there's some value in thinking about the fear to say no.
Yeah.
That's something that I mean, I think maybe that's what leads into this idea of that without a yes, that that's where some of that leads into, that you kind of play into being coy or whatever, by not saying no, which is a lot of people do that. Yeah.
It feels to me like this is where like I fear that my semi-puritanical streak, which I don't have, but I think about if you can't feel certain that you are communicating clearly enough with someone where yes or no is okay, you probably shouldn't be engaging in this very intimate act.
Right.
But I don't believe that someone has to be married to have sex. I don't believe that somebody has to be in a long-term committed relationship to have sex. I believe that one has to have consensual sex. So it's like about the level of intimacy, self-esteem, confidence, and comfort one has that I almost want there to be a test for in like the moment before people take that step together, because anybody who believes that they truly know what the other person is thinking, you can be married to someone for 30 years and not know what the other person's truly thinking. You certainly don't know it in the first minute.
Yeah. Then also I wonder what do we tell freshmen who are going into this new world that's open and they're told to explore your boundaries and your horizons and grow as people, like is by telling them to kind of, I understand it's not saying limit yourself and say no, but at the same time kind of would it be scary for freshmen to be you need like have it be phrased as like you need to say yes and not allow others
like,
to.
I feel like I understand where you're coming from in terms of I think like a lot of that it is scary to say yes and it is scary to say no. I think and like having that clear, but I also think that it's important because I think college is so much about opening your voice to that and being able to articulate what you mean and be able to treat yourself as an adult and treat others as adults. And I think that by saying yes and saying no and learning to be direct, it's something that it is scary, yes, but I don't think it's the scariest thing about college or the scariest thing about doing that, just because I feel like there's a lot of things that are more difficult than that.
I think what really is scary about this is because we're in college and we're going to be at college and we're going to be partying and hooking up and that's all going to be interwoven and everyone says you can't even like you're talking about this consent and how positive it is, but then if I'm told I can't even do that if I've been drinking, then how is that supposed to be handled, because I'm going to be drinking and I'm going to be hooking up when I'm drinking and half the time be very drunk and not even really know what to do. So then how's that supposed to be handled, and is there how can you even have healthy sexuality in this context?
In terms of people when how can you have healthy sexuality and drinking? I think in my opinion it's still yes, your inhibitions are less than they usually are when you're drunk rather than when you're sober. But I also feel and this might be controversial to yes means the yes means yes mantra, but I do feel there is possibility you can say the words yes, and if you physically can't say the word yes and you're too drunk to say that, then